Week 1 of the National Football League. Almost in the books. Got 2 games left. Got to watch all of the action. Who shocked ya? I don't know. Let's find out. Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 88th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Man, almost a full week of football in the books, and I must say, these were some pretty compelling games. And I forgot, I think I might have been talking about this last night on the Sunday breakdown of the Cowboys and Rams game. It may have been on a different live stream. They start to bleed together after a while when you've done so many over the last 72 hours or so. But I know I was talking to someone or some audience about preseason football and thinking that the game would be a little bit sloppier. I was actually impressed with a lot of these games, man. These were some competitive football games, and some of these games were really intriguing, especially these finishes, man. Some teams had opportunities. A lot of teams are going to be kicking themselves when they go back and watch the film after week 1 and see that they blew an opportunity to be 1-0 right now. And because when you lose in week 1, it puts so much pressure on you to find a way to win. No one wants to start 0-2. Nobody wants to start 0-2 to the season. So when you blow week 1, and Troy Aikman was talking about this, and I thought he said it very eloquently. He said, you put so much into week 1 because you're preparing for your week 1 opponent during the end of training camp. You've already figured out your 53-man roster, and that final week of training camp, you're starting to put install in for your week 1 opponent. And so you're essentially preparing for that opponent for 2.5 weeks or so. And with no preseason football, it might have been even longer this year. And to lose that first game, it's tough. It wears on you. And not only is it tough, it then puts you in a different mind state, in a different frame of mind going into week 2. Like, we got to have this one. Because, again, the percentages drop exponentially when you start 0-2 in terms of making the postseason. And I can tell you there are a number of teams. I could think of about 3 or 4 of them right now. Cincinnati is one of them. Detroit is another one. Dallas is another one, where you look at yourself and you say, how in the hell did we manage to not win that football game? We had that opponent dead to rights, and somehow we let it slip through our fingers. And there were some really, really good football games yesterday. We'll get to those when we go slate skating a little bit later on. But let me start the show by saying this. As you can see, I got a cut. I can tell you right now, I did not find myself a new barber. I can tell you I feel a lot better about getting some of the hair off of my head and my face, but I wasn't 100% satisfied with the product. And my man, Derek B, he said something to me so funny. So true, but so funny. He was telling his wife that, as a man, you much rather move on from a good girl than a good barber, because you can always find you another good woman. It's so hard to find a good barber, especially somebody you trust. He said, man, you're gonna be searching for a while. So good luck. You're gonna need it. And that's 1 down, and I don't know how many to go. So I'm still in the hunt, but I got the hair off my face, and I got to a place where I don't have to wear a hat every time you see me. So that'll be back eventually, because I'm gonna let my hair grow out again, and then I'm gonna find another guy to try to cut this and see if I can find me a new barber. So I thought I'd give you an update on that, but let's get into the Gem Droppin Session. So much to talk about today. I don't want to waste your time. So let's get into the Gem Droppin Session, shall we? Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T Double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So I wanted to talk about the running back position quickly, because over the weekend, a couple of big name running backs got paid, and I think there's still a couple more that may ultimately get their bread. But we've seen this offseason that running backs got paid this year. And, I wasn't sure if the running back position was going to get the appreciation that it deserved because of some of the past deals that went awry. And the ones that are most notable that haven't worked out the way the team that signed them intended it to, that come to mind are Le'Veon Bell, in Pittsburgh, that saga, and then him going to New York with the Jets, and that's been a train wreck. He got injured again and is going to miss some time in New York. So they feel like they've wasted. Remember, Adam Gase never wanted Le'Veon Bell, and he never wanted to spend the money. That was the last regime's signing, and he inherited that. Remember, he got into it with the last GM, Mike Maccagnan, and got him fired and brought in Joe Douglas. And so Maccagnan was the one that signed Le'Veon Bell to the deal that he got, and he was also the one that signed C.J. Mosley. And I don't think really that Adam Gase wanted to spend the kind of money that they spent on both of those guys, and neither one of them have been big contributors since Adam Gase has been the head coach. So that was a bad deal for the Jets. And then the Todd Gurley, he's an all true man, yeah, baby. His deal didn't work out in Los Angeles, and they were trying to get out of it as fast as they could. And so I thought, man, that's going to really be a bad look for the running back position. The two high-profile running back deals that have gotten done over the last couple of years, and they've both kind of went south quickly. And you know how people devalue the running back position already. You saw what Zeke Elliott had to do, what great lengths he had to go to get his money, holding out and going over to Mexico before finally getting paid a couple of off seasons ago. Derrick Henry had to go the franchise tag route to finally get his paper this offseason. You know, McCaffrey was one of the few guys that actually got his bread early and didn't have to fight the organization to get his. The Panthers just ponied up and made him the highest paid back in the league. Then you turn around and you look this weekend, Kamara got his 5 years, $75 million. Good for him. He deserves it in New Orleans, and he had a big game on Sunday to kind of hammer that point home. And then Dalvin Cook got his in Minnesota, 5 years, $63 million. And so I'm so happy to see those guys get their bread, because there are a lot of people that I respect in the NFL circles that they live and die by the creed, you don't pay running backs. You draft one early, you know, preferably if you can, if the guy's good enough, you spend a first round pick on him. You got him under your watchful eye for 5 years with that 5th year option. And then you can franchise him for an additional year if you'd like. Get a 6th year out of him, and then you kick him to the curb. And you feel like you've squeezed all of the elite in his prime play out of that running back by the time you've moved on after 6 years. I hate that thought process, but I understand it. It's one of those positions that goes sour very quickly. It's like buying some milk where the expiration date says, you know, today's the 14th, and you buy milk that has an expiration date of September 16th on it. You don't have a lot of time to guzzle that milk down. And I don't know about you, milk lasts a really long time in my household. And again, I'm a vegan, so I'm drinking some almond milk. And I'll allow that almond milk because I don't drink a lot of milk with my, first of all, I don't like milk, number one. All right. So I only drink milk when it's in my cereal. That's it. And I don't put a lot of milk in my cereal. So that milk could be in my fridge for every bit of a month and a half, 2 months. I need that milk to be able to last. Well, what happens when you buy a product and it is going to expire very quickly, and if you don't get all you can out of it, it's going to go bad on you. That's how a lot of people view the running back position. And so I was glad to see Kamara get paid because he's been putting his body on the line for this New Orleans Saints football team. You knew about the injury that he played with last year, had a torn MCL, played through it for the Saints throughout the season, gutted it out for them. He needed to get paid. You know, Dalvin Cook, I was a little iffy on him. When he's right, he's a really good football player, but too often too injured for me. And so I could understand if the Vikings were a little squeamish on him, but you know, at the end of the day, he got his money. I'm happy for him as well. I'm just happy to see the running back position getting paid because I didn't know if these guys are going to get their bread or not. I thought after Gurley's deal and after Le'Veon Bell's deal and how those kind of went the wrong way, that teams are going to be a little bit more apprehensive in paying their guys. It's good to see some of these teams rewarding these upper tier backs for what they've provided for their individual teams. And I'm hoping that's a trend that continues moving forward. I didn't want much on the Gem Droppin Session. I did want to mention that because those guys got paid over the weekend. We had talked about both of those guys at some point on the podcast, whether it was Dalvin Cook trying to have a faux holdout, which was so garbage, and we knew he wasn't going to hold out because the CBA states that pretty much you can't hold out anymore if you're under contract, which he was. And in the case of Kamara, there was a little bit of miscommunication between he and the Saints, him and head coach Sean Payton sat down, ironed out all the wrinkles, and I knew something was going to get done there. He's too integral a part of what they do for them to not find a way to make Alvin Kamara happy. You saw it again yesterday. He was a huge part of their win over the Tampa Bay Bucks. Let's transition from the Gem Droppin Session to what you've probably all been waiting for on today's episode. Of course, let's go around the league. Put your skates on, man. You a rollerblader? Or are you an inline skater? I don't know. You tell me. Traditional or rollerblader? I'm a rollerblader, but whatever the case may be, let's go slate skating. All right, so let's go cruising around the league, and we'll go in the order that I broke these games down when I gave you my picks. And I'm going to tell you right now, your boy Louie T is hot, man. You looking for some winners? Come over here and talk to the kid, man. I'll bless you every single week on the Friday pod, because right now, as we sit here, I'm 11-3. I don't know if anybody's doing it better than me. You know, somebody might be 12-1 right now. I highly doubt that. Or 12-2. Somebody might be 13-1 right now. I highly doubt that. You know, I feel like I'm ahead of the pack right now at 11-3. And if the 2 Monday night games go in my favor, your boy could be sitting here pretty 13-3 week 1. Even when I think I know, usually I don't come out of week 1 13-3. It's usually more like an 11-5, which I'm perfectly fine with for week 1, because that's a good mark because you really don't know. But boy, let's get to these games though. We start in Buffalo, Jets at the Bills, and I took notes for all of these games, so I'll give you what I got real quick. Josh Allen in his maturation process. I was impressed with him in this game, but Josh has got to stop doing dumb shit. And first of all, you know how I feel about Josh Allen. That's my guy. I'm gonna ride for Josh Allen. You know how I am. When I like a quarterback coming out of the draft, I ride for that guy. That's why when I take a liking to a guy, even to a fault sometimes, I'll ride with that player. And I'll talk about another guy that I did that for. You know how I did with Blake Bortles once upon a time. That did not go well for the kid. But nonetheless, I'm a Josh Allen guy. I know a lot of people love to bang Josh Allen up. You know, the playoff game last year, it was hit or miss. He did a lot of crazy stuff in that game. But this is a guy, and he's still doing crazy stuff. If you watch this game, you're like, hey, Josh, you have got to stop fumbling the ball. He had 2 fumbles in this game, and they were crucial fumbles, because when you watch this game, the Bills should have been up 35-0 at halftime. When I say dominated the first half of this game, that's a gross understatement, okay? They were so good. Josh Allen started this game off so red hot, and it was a lot of the short passing game. And if you watched the rest of the league this weekend, a lot of short passing game for a lot of these teams. Not a lot of deep passes. A lot of teams weren't dry. When you go 19 of 20, which Gardner Minshew did, there's not a lot of deep passing going on. It's a lot of dinking and dunking. And a lot of teams, I'd say 85% of the teams, they were keeping it short and simple. We saw it last night with Jared Goff and the Rams offense. A lot of screens, a lot of underneaths, a lot of quick outs and quick hitters, hitches and things of that nature. Same thing with the Bills. A lot of screens, a lot of quick hitters, a lot of 5-yard, 7-yard stops, a lot of quick outs, speed cuts, things of that nature. Josh getting it out of his hands quickly, and it worked to perfection. They mixed in some good runs, and they just had good synchronicity offensively. And then they'd get down there close to the end zone, and Josh would do something stupid like try to hurdle a defender, and the ball would come out, or he's running trying to get extra yards, and he's being a little loosey-goosey with the rock. Somebody hits his arm, pushes the ball up, it pops out, Jets recover. Like, he's got to take better care of the football. He got a wide open John Brown, Sheriff John Brown back in the end zone. He throws it 19 yards over the man's head. I mean, when I tell you he's wide open, there wasn't a Jet defender the length of the end zone. You know, the end zone is 11 yards wide. There wasn't a Jet defender, 9 yards wide. The end zone is 9 yards wide because you can get a 109-yard touchdown. There wasn't a Jet defender in the end zone next to John Brown, and he threw it over his head by at least 7 yards. No lie. I'm not BSing you here. So, you know, there's those moments, but the guy threw for over 300 yards in this game. The first time a Bills passer has done that since 2017. Let that sink in for a minute. So, you know, he's maturing. I love what I'm seeing from him. And his legs are weapon X, because you can't account for that. You're not thinking that Josh Allen's going to tuck it and run. But when he does, He's a big 6'6" athlete. So, I mean, I love Josh Allen. I just need him to be more consistent with some of the things that he does. Got to be a little bit more accurate with the football. He was plenty accurate in this game, but I need him to not miss the easy gimmies. When they give you a layup, don't miss the layup. Don't miss the bunny. And stop fumbling the damn ball, please. Please. But this was a dominant performance by the Bills. Honestly, this game should not have been as close as it was. Great debut, though, for Diggs and rookie running back Zach Moss. Diggs had, I think, 8 catches for over 70 yards. The rookie running back Zach Moss had a touchdown catch in this game. I thought he had some good hits in the run game as well. Looks like a strong runner, which we knew coming out of Utah. Remember, there was a debate and we're still going to look at it because they had a chance to take the running back out of Ohio State. And they elected J.K. Dobbins, and they elected to pass on him in order to take the edge rusher, A.J. Epineza. And instead, they doubled back and got Zach Moss. So that's going to be one of those comparisons that we look at down the road. But I like what I saw out of Zach Moss. And I also think Devin Singletary looks ready to tear it up this year, too. He looks fresh and like a guy that's starting to get it in year number 2. Andre Roberts was a guy I think the Bills were thinking about moving on from at the end of training camp. They may have even cut him, but then re-signed him. I don't know how that process worked, but he's a difference maker for them in the special teams game. Had a bunch of good returns and flip field position. I think he's a guy to me that is just essential for them. He had another strong performance, did Andre Roberts. He's just a guy that knows how to return punts and kickoffs. You know, like Cordero Patterson, they're just guys in the league that just know how to do it. Andre Roberts is one of those guys. This is something to keep an eye on. Rookie kicker, I don't like to beat up rookie kickers because they got to feel their way out sometimes. And, you know, you much rather have a kicker have struggles early than later on in the season. Get them out of the way now, get your jitters out of the way, and then find a way. Because we saw some missed kicks that really cost some teams in week number 1. The Bills were so dominant in this game that it really didn't matter. But this game could have been a lot more lopsided had their rookie kicker out of Georgia State, Tyler Bass, been more accurate. He was 2 of 4 in this game. And, you know, one of the kicks was like a 31-yard miss. Like, come on, guy. We can't, like, I call 40 to 49 the money distance. That's where you'll kick the vast majority of your kicks during the course of a season. If you attempt 20 field goals, probably 12 to 15 of them are going to be from 40 to 49 yards. When you get the gimmies that are 39 and in, come on, dude, you can't miss those. Those are supposed to be layups. Just like an extra point, I need those to go through the uprights. He struggled a little bit, and he missed his first 2 kicks, kind of got in his head a bit, but he redeemed himself, made a couple of kicks. That's just something to keep an eye on because you're not going to play the Jets every single week. You're going to need those 3 points on the scoreboard. Hopefully he gets his act together. You get to the Jets, Le'Veon Bell gets injured. At some point, they're going to cut that cord, I feel like. They don't have enough talent to not have Le'Veon Bell on the team. He caught a nice pass down the sideline, which shows you the kind of versatility that he can bring when he's healthy and everything's right with him. But for some reason, it's just not working out in New York with the Jets. It just isn't, and he gets injured again. He's going to be on the sidelines for a little while. They're going to struggle without him in the lineup. They don't have enough talent. That was my knock, which is why I thought the Jets were going to stink this year. They just don't have enough talent on the offensive side of the football. Speaking of which, Sam Darnold is only comfortable throwing the football to 2 guys. And you saw it in this game. He's only comfortable throwing the football to Jamison Crowder and Chris Herndon, his tight end. Outside of those 2 guys, who else scares you? Okay, I don't know, and maybe there's a guy or 2 developing. We know about Denzel Mims, their rookie out of Baylor. Maybe he develops over time during the course of this season, but there's nothing out there right now. And Darnold's still doing dumb shit himself. He threw a really stupid interception to Matt Milano where he's rolling out to his left, throws back across his body over the middle, a float job that Milano makes an incredible play on. I think he might have even gotten injured on that play, but you can't do that kind of stuff. Like, and that's the kind of stuff where I look at Sam Darnold and say, dude, what are you doing? Seriously. Like, what are you doing right now? They panned a shot over to his head coach, Adam Gase, and Adam was looking like, Sam, dude, really? Like, what are you doing right now? So, I don't know. The Jets are going to struggle this year. The Bills handle them easily in this football game. And I didn't do a good enough job of writing down scores. Let me pull these scores up real quick. But, yeah, the Bills dominated them in that football game, and it could have been a lot worse, to be honest with you. It should have been a lot worse. because and the Bills win that football game. Let's see, 27-17. That should have been a 40 burger put on their head in that game. No reason for them not to put 40 on them, but they didn't. Hey, 27-17, you take the win, keep it pushing. Nice start to the season for the Buffalo Bills. John Brown was also awesome in this football game as well. Green Bay at Minnesota, and some more family business. We started off the breakdown, Slate Skatin, with some AFC East family business. Now we travel to the NFC North for a little bit of family business. Packers at Vikings. This was a game here where I thought that the Vikings were going to struggle because I don't trust their defense this year. And then to make matters worse, their best defender in Danielle Hunter is going to miss the first 3 games of the season as he was put on IR with an injury. And I already told you their secondary is extremely young. And so if you're not going to get pressure on a quarterback, it's going to be a long afternoon. But let me tell you the first thing I thought of when I was watching this game. I was watching the Washington Eagles game, and I looked down at the bottom of the crawl at the bottom of the screen, and I saw Kirk, because I follow those games as I'm watching my game, because I got something on the game. I got my sheets, I got winners and losers, I got the weekly pick 'em pool, so I'm looking to make sure that the teams that I picked are doing what they're supposed to do. And I look down, and we're in the late stages of the second quarter. We're damn near at halftime, and generally all the games are usually right around each other. If your game that you're watching has 4 minutes and 37 seconds left in the second quarter, then most of the games around the league are somewhere in that 6-minute to 3-minute mark, somewhere in there in the second quarter. They're heading to halftime too in a bit. And so I look down, and the Washington game had about 4 minutes left. So I'm thinking the Vikings games has to be somewhere around there. And I look, and sure enough, they're at the 4:58 mark they're at the 4:01 mark of the second quarter. And Kirk Cousins is 2 of 2 for 32 yards. And the score is 8-7. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on in that game? Why is he only attempted 2 passes for 32 yards? So that was the thing that I went into the game. I needed answers as to why that was the case. And I wrote down in my notes, this is a fast-moving first half. And what happened was the Packers, their first possession of the game was 8 minutes long, essentially. And they only got a field goal out of it. Then the Vikings had a good drive that was about a good 5 or 6 minutes themselves. And you look up, and the first quarter is pretty much done. And it's 7-3. And I'm like, whoa. And then the Packers had another drive. They take it down the field. But this time, they get greedy. They go for it on 4th down. And I wrote down in my notes, Packers aggressive in the first half, went for it on 4th down twice. They went for it the first time. They got stopped on 4th and 1. And so the Vikings took over deep in their own territory. And then they got a safety. The Packers blitzed cornerback Alexander off the corner. Kirk didn't see him. It was play action fake from his own end zone. He gets sacked in the end zone. And voila, you get a safety. So all of a sudden, the Packers have the football again for another 5-6 minutes, and you look up, it's only 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and Kirk Cousins has only attempted 2 passes for 32 yards. It was crazy. Anyhow, it was a really crazy first half because it's 8-7 for much of the first half, and you're thinking, okay, low scoring first half, this thing's going to come down to the wire, and then the Packers explode. And really what happened was the Vikings, I put down in my notes, they imploded in the final minute of the first half. They give up a touchdown pass to Devontae Adams. It was a hell of a throw by Aaron Rodgers, first and foremost. It was one of those tight window, legendary Aaron Rodgers type throws on the move, pinpoint accurate, had to be there for his receiver to even have a chance to get his feet down in bounds. Adams, questionable as to whether if he got 2 feet down or not. They called it a touchdown, so they left it as a touchdown. Now it's 15-7. Then, on the ensuing possession, Kirk Cousins throws an ugly interception. He's picked off by Jair Alexander. So Alexander with the safety and the interception in the span of about 7 minutes of game time. And so you go from an 8-7 score to now the Packers have the football with about 40 seconds left in a timeout, up 15-7. And Rodgers throws a dime to wide receiver Valdez Scantling, who catches it and rumbles into the end zone from about 47, 50 yards out or so. And just like that, it goes from 8-7 to 15-7 to 22-7 in the matter of 45 seconds. And the Vikings actually did a pretty good job of getting the football back and getting in the field goal range and getting a field goal. But it was at that point, you're like, wow, 8-7 to 22-10 at halftime. How the hell did that happen in the span of a minute? But that's how that took place. And really, the Vikings had no answers in the second half. You know, that was what happened at the end of the first half bled into the second half as the Packers just had an onslaught, an avalanche of offensive production. Rodgers might have thrown for over 400 yards in this game. If not, he was close. They couldn't stop any of the Packers. And it's funny, we mocked the Packers for not having enough offensive weaponry outside of Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones in the backfield. Well, everybody was eating. They couldn't stop Valdez-Scantling. If he could catch, he would have had 170 yards in this game because he dropped a deep ball. He dropped another easy dragger on third down that forced the Packers to have to punt. If Valdez-Scantling was catching the football early in the first half, it could have been a lot worse for the Vikings. They couldn't stop Devontae Adams. He had, I think, 14 or 15, maybe even 16 grabs in this football game. They couldn't stop Allen Lazard. They couldn't stop anybody. And so it got worse, progressively worse in the second half as the Packers poured it on. I think they had over 500 yards of total offense in this football game, did the Packers. And it resulted in a 43-34 victory for the Green Bay Packers in this game. They had their way with the secondary, a young secondary of Minnesota with no pass rush from, you know, the likes of Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin, who's no longer on the roster. And I told you Danielle Hunter was out. They had no answer for Aaron Rodgers. They could not get after Rodgers, keep him in the pocket, and he did whatever the hell he wanted to do. And I can tell you this much. The Vikings have some stuff, you know, and they still have issues on the offensive line, though, because the Packers were able to get to Kirk Cousins and make him uncomfortable. He had a couple of nice runs in there, but they're going to have their issues. I already told you, I don't think the Vikings are going to be a playoff team this year. And from what I saw in this game, and it's week one. I don't overreact to week one, but I do look for confirmation for what I believe in week one. I got a little bit of that here with Green Bay taking care of Minnesota 43-34. Philadelphia at Washington was my favorite game of the day. Obviously, I'm a Washington football team fan, but it was a role reversal from last year, week one. Washington jumped on top of Philadelphia at the link, 17-0 last year. The Eagles come roaring back, score 30 something, like 28, maybe 29 unanswered points, something like that before Washington ever scores again. I think they might even scored 32 or something like that, and put us out of the game essentially and out of our misery before we could even blink after jumping out to such a early lead. We did the same thing to the Eagles, except it was more methodical, and it felt more of a exclamation point, a statement being made. The Eagles were supposed to do that to us last year. They just took a long time to do it. Everyone counted us out, thought we were dead. And, you know, if you were a Washington football fan, you were probably thinking the same thing. You know, here we go again. Same old, skins. Can't get it done. Week one, come out unprepared. You know, it's supposed to be a new day, new era with Ron Rivera and company, and it looks exactly the same. Couldn't get off the field early in the game on third downs. Tight ends are killing us, which I said was one of the keys to the game. And all of a sudden, Dallas Goedert went over 100 yards in this game. Like, they still have issues covering the tight end. But at the midpoint of the second quarter, a big play happens. Not even midpoint. It was a lot later in the second quarter, like 4 minutes left in the second quarter. You know, Fabian Moreau gets an interception, changes the whole complexion of the football game. The Eagles go up from going up 17-0. Washington takes that interception, turns it into a touchdown, cuts the deficit to 10 at 17-7. Eagles have a chance to respond. Wentz misses a open wide receiver late in the second quarter. Their rookie Jalen Reagor had a step on our safety Troy Apke. Should have been 7. Wentz overshoots him, and we had a chance for an interception to play before that, and it almost cost us big because if Wentz connects with him, it's 24-7, and this is a totally different ball game. Instead, he misses him, and what followed was an onslaught of epic proportions if you're a Washington football fan. We destroyed Wentz and that offensive line, who was extremely banged up. No Lane Johnson, their replacement for him, Jack Driscoll, gets injured, I think, early stages of the third. So they've got Jordan Mailata, who they drafted in the 7th round of the 2018 draft as a developmental guy from rugby in there. And the offensive line, they had Nate Herbig at guard, who was making his first NFL start out of Stanford. They had a hodgepodge along the offensive line, and the Washington football team took advantage, sacking Wentz 8 times, forcing 2 fumbles, picking him off an additional 2 times, and also hitting him a bunch of other times as well. Wentz hung in there. I got to give him credit. He hung tough, gave his team an opportunity. Guys dropped passes. They did not help him out. And after scoring the first 17 of the game, the Eagles don't score again as the Washington football team puts up 27 unanswered points to defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17 in what was a awesome football game to watch, and also a statement that this defense, the offense has a long way to go. Okay, Dwayne Haskins was far from impressive in this game, but he did not turn the football over, and that was the key for this particular game. All the right buttons were pushed by Rivera and company. The Eagles went for it on 4th down twice, failed both times. And that's part of the DNA of their team. Their head coach loves to roll the dice. And I knew he was going for it on 4th down both times. And so it was good to see this team be game on 4th down and step up and get off the field, something they failed to be able to do a season ago. They get to 1-0 on the season. And if the Giants lose tonight, all teams in the NFC East outside of Washington will be 0-1 on the season, which is something that I don't think a lot of fans saw coming when this week took place. You get to Cleveland at Baltimore. The Ravens utterly destroy the Cleveland Browns in this game, and it really was never close. 38-6. Too many mistakes by the Browns. We'll jump into it right now, but first thing I want to say is if you're the Browns, they have to do a better job. First of all, you got to know your personnel. Got to know who you're dealing with. You got a head case on your team named Odell Beckham Jr. Shame on you if you step to the old dirty Beckham. If you know Odell Beckham, he's a diva. Diva wide receivers, the first rule of having a diva wide receiver on your team is to get them a touch early in the game. It doesn't have to be the absolute first touch, but first 2 possessions of the game. I don't care if it's a bubble screen. I don't care if it's a jet sweep. I don't care if it's a slant. I don't care what it is. Just get them a touch, or at least a target, but preferably a touch. Get them engaged in the ball game. We were approaching halftime, and Odell didn't even have a target. And you could see after a failed 3rd down conversion late in the 2nd quarter, he's so disinterested. He rips his chin straps off and takes his helmet off, and the team hasn't even left the field, and it ultimately ended up being a penalty on the Ravens that gave them an automatic 1st down. He was already on the bench. You have to get guys like him opportunities early, and it was funny because on the very next set of downs, they got on the football because you could see he was frustrated. Don't let it get to that point. Never let your star diva wide receiver become disinterested. Get him touches early in the game. You got to know that. That's rule number 1 if you're going to have one of these types of players on your team. You got to know that, and if you don't, then you shouldn't be the head coach of the team. But you got a first-year head coach in Kevin Stefanski, and he came from a place where he really didn't have to deal with a diva receiver. I mean, you could term, Stephon Diggs one, because he does have a little bit of that in him, but you got a legit diva now. You got to take care of him. Anyhow, running backs, to me, are the strengths of that Browns offense. Nick Chubb is a beast. Certified beast. Love that guy's game. But also, they just and I talked about running backs getting paid. Kareem Hunt just got paid. He got some money over the weekend. We talked about that on the last podcast. He looks good too. They got 2 really impressive running backs that they can run and throw the football to. That's the strength of their offense right now. Even though they've got talent at receiver. They got Jarvis Landry. They got Odell Beckham Jr. They got Austin Hooper. They got David Njoku, who is injured again. But they got the draft pick out of Florida. I want to say it's Florida Atlantic, FAU, the tight end. They got a bunch of weaponry out there to throw it to. The running backs are the strength of this team right now, and they need to ride those guys until they figure it out in the passing game. But as you get to the Browns and how this thing got out of control the way that it did, a rough start to the game for the Browns. They had 2 turnovers early in the game. They missed a point after when they finally did score a touchdown. Then they had a drop pass on 32. That was Odell Beckham. Don't bitch and complain for the rock, and then they throw it to you on 3rd down and you drop it. That's the shit that pisses me off with him, which is why I'm not willing to deal with the headache. Because there are guys in this league that are headaches, but when you throw them the football, they produce. Like Antonio Brown. Say what you want about Antonio Brown. Yeah, he's a head case, and the guy's got a lot of demons that he needs to deal with. However, you throw him the football, he's going to catch it. Odell Beckham has those mental lapses where he'll drop the football, has no problems dropping the ball, and he did in this game again. Then he missed a field goal on top of that. Again, after missing an extra point, which they cut their kicker today. Okay, they didn't waste any time getting rid of the kicker situation because that's been a problem for the Browns over the years. And so you miss a field goal, then you give up a late touchdown. Right down the field. After you missed that field goal, the Ravens went right down the field goal in short order and score a touchdown. And just like that, it's 24-6 at halftime. And you're dead. This is a Ravens team. You're not coming back on them. You're dead at that point on the road. And so this Ravens offense could be lethal. When you look at the weapons that they have, it's all starting to come together. And Lamar, I'm telling you, he was extremely sharp throwing the football. Now, yeah, some of his players had to make acrobatic catches and things of that nature. Every now and again, he'll let one rip, similar to Josh Allen. But he was extremely sharp. Sidearm and, 3/4 slot arm slots, getting it right to guys in stride, though. He was sharp. And he spread it around. It's so good to see Hollywood Brown performing the way that he did in this game because they drafted him to be a number one. He looked the part of a number one, over 100 yards receiving in this ball game. Miles Boykin made some plays. It's good to see him starting to step up. Also, the tight end position, we know how good they are there, but the lead dog in that house is Mark Andrews. He was stellar in this ball game. Willie Snead was big in this game as well. They got so many guys. They even decided to give Devin Duvernay, their rookie, a little bone. Tossed him a bone out there on a nice little pass out into the flats in there. He took it up the field and picked up out a cool 12. They've got so many weapons, so much speed, and J.K. Dobbins looks good too. They've got so many weapons. That's a scary team in Baltimore. We knew that already, but they just wanted to make sure you didn't forget. In case you forgot, they blessed us with 38 in week 1, destroying the Cleveland Browns. You go to the next game, Indianapolis at Jacksonville. More family business. A lot of family business being conducted. The first 5 games on the slate, all family business affairs. Now we're in the AFC South here, taking care of a little bit of family business. And I just want to say, shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars for eliminating half of the survivor pool with one fell swoop as they take down the Indianapolis Colts in a wild affair. Hot start for the Colts, but they failed on a 4th and 1 inside the 5, and to me that changed the entire ball game. Again, I think some of these coaches, they really become over aggressive in how they approach situations. Sometimes I understand going for it on 4th down. Other times I just feel like take the points. You're dominating the game. And I when you're inside the 5-yard line and it's 4th and 1, I get going for it because in the case of the Packers, they end up getting a safety. Like, you're not going to get a safety every time, and more times than not, you're not going to get a safety. However, you feel like if I can get off the field defensively, I'm going to get great field position and I'll have another crack at scoring a touchdown. So, I understand that logic, but also you got to feel the game. You got to kind of feel the rhythm and flow. And you also got to know your team. Are you good in short yardage situations? I guess with no preseason, it's kind of hard to determine that. Excuse me. They were awful in short yardage situations where the Indianapolis Colts in this football game. And that was disheartening for a team that's supposed to be this mashing, bust you in the mouth type of run offensive unit with that offensive line. They failed to be able to establish a new line of scrimmage on 4th and short situations in this game. And it drove the Colts to then have to go play action fake and throw it, which was highly successful in this game. But that's no here nor there. I thought that up 7-0, 4th and 1, you take the points there and you go up 10-0 and you really put the Jaguars on their heels by putting them down by 2 scores. Instead, you gave them life. And they were able to take advantage of that. Now, they didn't score on that possession, but they did flip the field position. And then Philip Rivers does what Philip Rivers does. And you know what I'm starting to think? If you're a guy that turns it over and throws a bunch of interceptions, that's just in your DNA. Like a Brett Favre, you can't coach that out of a guy. Like Jameis Winston, he's sitting behind Drew Brees and he's going to learn that Saints offense. But when he gets his chance to play, I think he's going to come in, he's going to be dynamic, but he's still going to turn the football over. I don't know if you can coach that out of a guy. If it's in him and he's a gunslinger, you just got to deal with it. And Phillip Rivers, I thought he was going to go to Indianapolis. They're going to run the football. He's going to go play action fake, and he wasn't going to turn it over. And the first game, the first opportunity that he gets, he throws 2 interceptions, and they lose the game. And those 2 interceptions were massive in this game. And the first one was the big one because you're still up 7-0. You're still playing good ball. And that interception by the rookie, C.J. Henderson, who had an exceptional rookie debut, that one changed the game because Jacksonville scored their first points of the game off of that interception. And honestly, after that, I thought the Jaguars had immense confidence at that point. They felt like they could win this game, and they really were dominated thoroughly early in this ball game by the Indianapolis Colts. But the mistakes by the Colts, the failed 4th down, the interception, it really hurt them in this game. Marlon Mack tears his Achilles. He's done for the season. That's so disappointing because he had a really strong game before he got hurt. And they were gonna form a really good twosome out there between him and Jonathan Taylor. And now it's really up to Taylor and Nyheim Hines. Really, it was gonna be a 3-headed attack, but Nyheim Hines was more of the pass catching threat of the 3. He was dominant in this game, was Nyheim Hines. He stepped up big in the absence of Marlon Mack, but that's a big loss. You hate to see it. Minshew, Shenault, Robinson, Jack, and their short yardage defense, to me, and C.J. Henderson were all standouts in this game. I'll take them one at a time. Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20 in this game. As I mentioned, a lot of short passes. When opportunities presented itself down the field, he took it, like the touchdown to, I forgot number 84. I can't remember his name, but he was wide ass open. It's hard to miss that one. Minshew played with a level of poise, though, that I saw last year in some crucial situations. There may be something to Gardner Minshew. I keep trying to dismiss him. I gotta stop. Gardner Minshew is better than I've been giving him credit, and a lot of people have been giving, because everyone just dismisses him and, the Jags will be drafting a quarterback in the top 5 of the draft next year. Maybe they won't be. Maybe Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback. Have you ever thought about that? Like, has that thought crossed your mind? Because it's really starting to cross mine, because he was impressive in this game. And the Colts are no slouch defensively. They've got enough stuff out there to cause problems. And he was just cool, calm, and collected the entire game. Laviska Shenault, I love this guy. I had him rated a lot higher than a lot of you did. Had some injuries at Colorado, and he didn't run his fastest at the combine, what may have you, but he's a weapon, and they used him as such in week 1, and I like to see it. Something that he did at Colorado, he took a lot of wildcat snaps and things of that nature. They did it in this game with him. They lined him up in the backfield. He got a toss. He got a handoff. Like, they utilized Laviska Shenault because he's not just a receiver. He's a playmaker. And then they threw him the football, and he caught a touchdown pass too. So I loved how they used him. Good debut for Laviska Shenault, and it adds another weapon next to Chark, who's a really good football player. They got some good stuff out there in Jacksonville, and they added Laviska Shenault to the mix. Speaking of stuff, who in the hell is James Robinson anyway? Okay, it was funny because I told you I look at the bottom of the screen and I look down and it's 11 carries, 62 or 72 yards for Robinson, and I'm like, Robinson, and I'm racking my brain. Robinson. Who did the Jaguars draft at the running back position the last 2 years named Robinson? This guy's got to be good, because they felt comfortable enough to let go of Leonard Fournette for this guy. So I'm racking my brain. Robinson. He's undrafted out of some ridiculously small school I've never heard of. That's why I have no idea who this guy is. and I'm like, he's a big dude. He's not fast, but he's quick, and he is decisive, and he runs downhill with power, and he was impressive. I said, who knew? James Robinson. Okay, let's see what you got. They got themselves a running back that they like. We'll see if he continues to play well. I thought Miles Jack was all over the football field. This guy was everywhere. He looks really, really good. And I thought the Jaguars' short yardage defense, as I mentioned already, the Colts could not convert 3rd nor 4th in short to save their lives in this football game. And they even ended the game. They went for it on 4th down, had to at that point of the game, and they got stopped again, and Jacksonville ended up preserving the game. They were outstanding, were the Jaguars. You get an interception late in the ball game by Andrew Wingert. I mean, all these guys are unsung heroes for them. A safety out of Wyoming a couple of years ago. And so you just look at what the Jags were able to do. They just found ways to make plays in this game. In terms of the Colts, guys that stood out to me, Parrish Campbell finally showing why they were so excited about him last year when they selected him in the second round. Nyheim Hines was outstanding. He was the best player on the field offensively for the Colts in this ball game. And then Jonathan Taylor showed a little of what he's going to have to be for them now with the injury to Marlon Mack. But the Jaguars find a way to win when a lot of people weren't giving them any chance in this game. They find a way to get it done, 27-20 over. And I misspoke. I'm thinking I mixed my games up. The game didn't end on a stop on fourth down. That was the Raiders game. T.Y. Hilton had 2 mega drops, including a fourth down drop. And C.J. Henderson had something to do with the second one. He should have caught the first one. The first pass on third down, he drops, and it brings up a fourth down, and Phillip Rivers goes back to him again, and he drops it again. Look, T.Y., dude, seriously, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the alpha out there. Catch the goddamn football. So that was disheartening. You know, they brought Phillip Rivers to Indianapolis for situations like this, and Phillip delivered. You know, he got him down the field, he got him in scoring range, and if T.Y. Hilton just catches the damn football, there's a chance that Phillip doesn't throw an interception, but rather a touchdown, and they may be able to take the game to overtime and ultimately steal it. Instead, they lose the football game 27-20 because T.Y. Hilton can't catch the damn football. So that's for whatever that's worth. Big win for the Jaguars. I'll leave that at that. Las Vegas Raiders at the Carolina Panthers. This is a game that the Raiders held on to 34-30. The Panthers just wouldn't go away. And I talked about this. I think the Panthers are going to be, record-wise, a bad football team, but I told you they're going to be highly competitive because they got good football players. Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. He showed it in this game. He's still got to knock some of the rust of not starting off, and there's still a little bit of continuity that he needs to establish with these receivers. There were some balls that were behind guys a little too high, things of that nature. And they'll iron out those wrinkles. It's week 1. You saw that a lot around the league, guys still needing to iron out some of the kinks. However, they've got talent on their football team, and they've got Christian McCaffrey, and that's going to give you a chance every week. However, they're going to lose games close because they're a young football team, and part of that problem is you got a young coach. And when you have a young coach that hasn't been in this league, he's going to make decisions that ultimately cost his team. We saw it last night with the Cowboys. They didn't have a young coach. They got a Super Bowl winning coach. But I don't think very much of their coach. And he made a decision that ultimately I felt like cost them a chance at winning the game by electing to go for it on fourth down instead of kicking a field goal. And in this situation, Christian McCaffrey's your guy. You don't go away from him at the end of the game. We'll get to that. Let's go through my notes as I wrote them down. First thing I wrote down, Josh Jacobs is a dude. End of discussion, okay? 3 touchdowns in this game. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can make you miss in space. This guy is the truth. Love me some Josh Jacobs. Loved him coming out of Alabama, and he's proving that everything I thought about him was correct and then some. He was outstanding. The next thing I wrote in my notes, leave Derek Carr alone. So many of you have the Raiders drafting a quarterback, trading for this guy, signing this guy in the offseason. Stop coming for Derek Carr's life in Las Vegas. He was good in this game. I like Derek Carr, and I think he's a good fit for what John Gruden wants to do in Vegas. There was a throw right before the half to Nelson Aguilar that you can't do it much better than. Like that, Derek Carr's a good quarterback, and he gets the football out of his hands quickly. This is the one thing I don't like about Derek Carr is that he doesn't like to be touched. What quarterback does? But under duress, you can get Derek Carr to do something stupid with the ball because he doesn't want to be hit. He watched his brother get beat up in the league to the point that his brother ended up not having the kind of career that he was supposed to. And he probably vowed that I'll never allow myself to get beat up the way my brother did. It doesn't hurt that you get your back broken and your leg snapped in a game and end your season a couple of times that you start saying, look, I really don't want to be hit anymore. But outside of that, this guy is a good quarterback. Leave Derek Carr alone, okay? And I think he fits what Gruden wants to do in Las Vegas. Henry Ruggs thought he had a really good debut, man. You see the speed, and I love the fact that Gruden went out of his way to get this guy involved. Jet sweep, a beautiful corner route on play action fake that he was almost able to score off of. Some underneath stuff, get him the ball in his hands quickly, let him create that way. I thought it was a great, a steady, balanced diet of Henry Ruggs in this football game. Looking forward to seeing more of that throughout the course of the season. Also, I was impressed with Devontae Booker, a new addition to this running back room from Denver. I thought he was a nice change of pace from Jacobs. Thought he played well in this game too. Damon Arnett got on a double move, and that was kind of the way the Panthers got back into this game. Raiders were starting to pull away at that point of the game. I want to say they were up 27-15, and then Damon Arnett got on a double move. And I mean, when I say he got smoked on a simple double. It wasn't even a crispy double move. This was not the kind of double move you're supposed to get beat on like this. But that's what happens when you're greedy and you're nosy, and he got. And Robbie Anderson, 77 out the gate, just like that. We got a ball game, folks. So this thing got a lot closer than it should have been because of mental lapses on the part of the Raiders. Tedo, he's settling in. Teddy Bridgewater is settling in. I thought he had a really solid performance in his debut as Panthers quarterback. Pharoh Cooper, I thought, did some really good things in the return game for the Panthers. Some good returns, set him up with some great field position throughout the game. He may be a weapon for them this year as well. Also, hell of a fourth down stop by the Raiders D to preserve the victory. You know, for all of the things that you can say about the Raiders defense in this game, and they gave up a lot to the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey, and that's to be expected. When the game was on the line and they had to get a stop 4th and 1, this is where you think about the coach. You know, Matt Rule, first game in the NFL. They ran a fullback dive earlier in the game on a 3rd down situation. It worked. So they went to the well one too many times. I don't like to reinvent the wheel. I got Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to put a fullback in front of him, and I'm going to dare you to stop him from getting a yard. That's just how I envision this going. They instead gave it to Alex Arma. He gets stuffed for no gain. Raiders win the football game. Those are the decisions that a coach has to make throughout the course of a game, and you figure out, all right, did I make the right decision or not? I don't think he made the right decision, but that's nor here nor there. Raiders get the win 34-30, get to 1-0 on the season. You get to the next game, Lions hosting the Bears, and this was some really good fourth quarter NFC North family business. Now, for the first half of this game, snooze fest. All right, it was 6-6 for much of the first half. You're thinking this is going to go into halftime. Similar to the Packers-Vikings game, you're thinking, okay, going to go into half, 6-6. Lions score right before the halftime break, make it 13-6. They score again in the second half, make it 20-6, and you're thinking, okay, they're about to run away with this game. And then things started to happen. Let me go through my notes. First things first, Adrian Peterson looked great in this game. All right. It's like this guy doesn't age. He's timeless. It's like he didn't miss a beat. Steps into a Lions uniform. They hand him the football, and he's ripping off 15, 17, 24-yard runs. Almost had 100 yards in this game. I think he had like 14 carries for like 92 yards or something like that. He was outstanding. Caught it like 3 or 4 times out of the backfield for an additional, 15, 20 yards. He was stellar in this football game for the Lions. Jamie Collins' ejection, that was bogus. That was trash. Now, I get it. You're not supposed to make contact with the official. I understand that concept. But he was demonstrating to the official what the guy did to him and that they can't allow him to get away with that. Could he have done it in a different manner that doesn't involve the official being the guy that you're demonstrating on? Absolutely. But come on, show a little bit of restraint and also understand what the guy's doing here. It's not like he came and just rammed the official with the crown of his helmet out of frustration because he was flagged. He was trying to show him, and it was the softest helmet touch. Like, come on, dude, be for real. So I thought that was trash. And his agent went nuts on Twitter. But anyway, it was really good to see TJ Hawkinson coming alive in this game because he was like a corpse at times last year. It's almost like the Lions didn't know what to do with him. He had a drive, that drive right before halftime that the Lions scored the touchdown on. Hawkinson was really the catalyst there. He was outstanding throughout the game. He's going to be a problem if they use him correctly. It was good to see him starting to get off in Detroit. Mitchell Trubisky, his mama named him Mitchell. I'm going to call him Mitchell. Look, they were killing Mitchell all first half long. I was flicking through the different channels, and the Bears only had 6 points, and the offense was stagnant. They were killing Mitchell. And I said, y'all leave my man Mitchell alone. And I told you it was another guy that I wasn't the biggest Mitchell Trubisky fan coming out of North Carolina, but I like Mitchell after watching him in the league. He's good enough to win with. Can you win a Super Bowl with Mitchell? You better have a hell of a defense. But he's not the worst quarterback. Like, they try to make Mitchell out to be this bum. And that's not Mitchell. And if I could just get Mitchell to play the way that he plays against Detroit, because he killed Detroit twice last year, including Thanksgiving, where I thought it was one of his better performances of his career. And then in this the midpoint of the third quarter, Mitchell Trubisky came alive. And he started to gain confidence. He started to find Allen Robinson. That turned into finding the rookie out of Tulane, Darnell Mooney. That ultimately evolved into finding a guy that killed the Lions on Thanksgiving last year, Anthony Miller. And that proved to be the game winner to Anthony Miller late in the ball game. But for a while there, the offense was stagnant. Mitchell was inconsistent. And then he came alive. He started using his legs, started gaining confidence. And yeah, some of the catches that his receivers had to make were circus-like because he was a little errant with his throws. But you can win with Mitchell Trubisky, all right? And with the game on the line, when they needed him to show up, Mitchell played his best brand of ball. Let's get through this, though, because he didn't do it by himself. The Lions helped in typical Lions fashion. So the first thing I had a problem with, you are up by, let me check this score out, and I can tell you exactly what the score was. You were up 10 with 4 minutes. I got it in my notes here. 4 minutes left in the game. All right, so the score at this moment is 23-13. Why are you kicking a 55-yard field goal? Answer me that, please. I know Matt Prater has the leg to do it. He's very capable, but why? At this juncture of the game, 10 and 13 aren't that different. I know one forces you to have to score 2 touchdowns. The other allows you to kick a field goal to tie the game. But you know what you would really benefit from with 4 minutes left? Is forcing the Bears to have to drive 90 yards for a touchdown. Punting that ball and forcing a fair catch at the 10. Making them go 90 with 4 minutes left. Something that Mitchell hasn't really done this game. You know how you really help them? Miss a 55-yard field goal. This is where coaching comes in. This is why Matt Patricia is trash. You know what really helps them out? Down 10 with 4 minutes left? Miss a 55-yarder, which gives them the football essentially at midfield, cuts the field in half. So now, a couple of big plays, which they got, puts them right in a position to score, which they did. Now, with 2 minutes left in the game, 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, instead of it being, 2-minute warning and they're still trying to get to 20 or having to decide, should we kick the field goal, go for the onside kick? They're now down by 23-20 with all 3 timeouts left. Now you go out, you run the football, or Matthew Stafford then throws an interception. This is what the Lions do. Okay, so again, instead of you punting the ball and forcing these guys to have to drive the length of the field to beat you, or force their way into field goal range and have to kick an attempt. And we know the Bears have had some issues with their field goal kickers. You cut the field in half again. Stafford tries to force it, so they run it on first down, they run it on second down, and then now it's 3rd and 6. And they're looking at the situation and saying, well, if we run it again, it's not really going to do anything because they got a timeout and they got the 2-minute warning. So we really should just try to get the first down and win the game. And so Stafford tries to force it to his receiver over the middle of the field. He throws it into essentially double coverage. It gets batted in the air and gets picked off by Kyle Fuller. And just like that, the Bears are in business right around midfield yet again. And it might have even been closer than that because like 2 plays later, Mitchell Trubisky hits Anthony Miller down the sideline. The same exact throw he made to Anthony Miller in the Thanksgiving win last year for a big play. He did it again here for a touchdown, gave them the lead. But that's not the worst part. That's not the most Detroit Lions part of all of this. Even after that, and we got to have a Matthew Stafford discussion at some point on this podcast. You guys remind me of that. We got to double back and have a Matthew Stafford discussion. Because I'm hard on Matthew Stafford. He's a damn good quarterback. But anyway, they get the football back. They move it right down the field. Stafford does what he does in these crucial situations. He gives his team a chance. Takes them down the field. And they get all the way down there. And it's 3rd down. It's 2nd down and 10. From the Bears' 12-yard line. Stafford drops back. And he's floating backwards. And he sees his rookie running back, out of Georgia, DeAndre Swift, backpedaling into the end zone, wide ass open, and Stafford drops a dime on him. And DeAndre Swift drops the football. Ouch. Yikes. And wouldn't you know it, next play, Stafford tries to force it in the end zone, takes up the remaining 8 seconds of the game. Bears escape somehow, some way. And this is the 2nd year in a row. And this is what the Lions do. This is why it's hard being a Lions fan. Last year, remember, in Arizona, dominated the game for 3.5 quarters, allowed the Cardinals to come back, take that game to overtime, ultimately ended up a tie. You dominated this game for 3.5 quarters. You elect to kick a 55-yard field goal you missed, and it turned the whole game upside down. Why? How do you blow this game? You are up 23-6. No way you lose this game. But you do. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's heartbreaking is what that is. And again, there were about 3 teams that you look at and say, man, that's a tough one to swallow. They were one of them. They might have had the worst loss of week number 1 to this point. Big win for the Bears. Big win for Mitchell Trubisky and his confidence. The Bears are now 1-0. You go to a game that I was really disappointed in. I think somebody had asked me what was the most disappointing performance of week number 1. I think it's the Atlanta Falcons at home. Man, was that disappointing. And I'll explain why, but the Seahawks, they're really good. Russell Wilson, 31 of 35. At one point, I think he started the game like 18 of 18 or some ridiculous numbers, like 14 of 14, 15 of 15, something like that. He was insane in this game. I mean, they went for it on 4th and 5. And he throws a dime. Man, it was 2 nickels. It was 10 pennies. Any way you want to slice it, it was a dime. Down the sideline to DK Metcalf. On 4th and 5. Who has the balls to do that on 4th? It's only a handful of quarterbacks that are not just looking at the sticks and trying to find a way to get 5 yards. Russ is like, nah, I want it all, man. I want it all. Yikes. And throws a dime. Anyway. They go into Atlanta and they score 38 points. Get the 38-25 victory. Here's my notes from this game. 3rd and 23 pass interference on Ricardo Allen early in this game. That's the kind of shit that reminded me of last year's Atlanta Falcons football team. Like, get off the field on 3rd down and long. Don't do that, Ricardo. It was 3 Falcons around. There was no way this guy's going to catch the ball. Why are you molesting him 45 yards down the field? Answer me. Please, I need an answer. That led to a score. However, I actually thought the defense played well in the first half. They started out rough, though. But anyway, 4th and 3, batted ball leads to a Seahawks touchdown. So the Falcons go for it on 4th and 3. And the ball gets batted in the air, and it leads to a turnover on downs, which the Seahawks take advantage of, score another touchdown. It's 14-3, and I'm looking at the crawl at the bottom of the screen. I'm saying, hey, look, Atlanta, don't piss me off now. At least be competitive. I picked you. I thought this was going to be a new season, a turned over leaf. Don't embarrass me week 1. So they go down the field, they score. They missed the damn extra point. Go figure, right? So it's 14-9. And it stayed 14-9 for a very long time. And this is where I thought the Atlanta Falcons offense failed them. For as bad as the defense was, maybe the first 3 possessions of the game or so, I think there was a punt sandwiched in between 2 good drives by the Seahawks offense that resulted in touchdowns. They settled in nicely in that first half, the Atlanta Falcons defense. They forced some punts, and they got off the field, and they gave the offense every opportunity to score or at least possess the ball and give the defense a flipping of the field and maybe pin the Seahawks in their own territory and maybe be able to force a turnover, get a stop. No, the offense did nothing. And I put down in my notes, Atlanta's offense is 55% responsible for this loss. And, the special teams, they got to take 10% because how do you fake a punt, convert it, but fumble? Who does that? At least the Browns, when they faked their punt in the game and they didn't get it, they fumbled it, but they weren't going to get it anyway, okay? But you fake it, you convert, but you fumble. What? Anyway, I digress. You needed to score more on offense. The offense didn't do enough in this game. And that was the part that was disheartening because early in the game, Todd Gurley looked great. He's an all true man, yeah, baby. He looked good on that first possession. You moved it right down the field, still had to settle for a field goal. Anyway, I thought you were going to be able to move the football a little bit better, and you weren't. And Julio, he had himself a hell of a game. Every time you start thinking about moving past the Julio Jones as the number 1 wide receiver discussion in the league, and you start looking at D-Hop, and you start looking at Michael Thomas, and you start forgetting about adding Julio in that conversation. He has a game like this that reminds me, when he's healthy, when he's right, to hell with those guys. They can't run like this guy can. They're not Julio Jones. They're good. They're really good. They're not Julio Jones. He was exceptional in this game, making tough catches, getting hit as soon as he catches the ball and still making a catch, running by the defense. Matt Ryan had an opportunity, and he didn't really get to step into this one. A little bit of pressure in his face, but Julio streaking down the field. If Matt Ryan leads him, it's a 85-yard touchdown. Instead, it's like a 55-yard game. He was dominant in this game, and Ridley, he helped, and Russell Gage went over 100, but it felt like Russell Gage's 100 yards was empty. It was like at the end of the game, things were out of hand, and he was just getting his at the end. They got to do a better job of finding ways to get in the end zone, convert on 3rd and 4th down. This offense has too much talent to not score points when they have opportunities to score. That being said, the 4th and 5 dime from Dangerous, I talked about that already. My God, that was delicious to DK. And DK had already dropped a pass in the game, and he went right back to that young man, and it paid off huge dividends. He ran right by Isaiah Oliver. First of all, Isaiah, you 195 pounds of nothing going up against a dude that's 230 pounds of chiseled muscle. Why are you trying to lay hands on that man? That is blasphemy. You just turn and run. That's it. Don't put your hands on that man. You have no right to lay hands on that man unless you want problems. And trust me, as a wise man once told me, you don't want no problems, huh? You don't want no problems, huh? You don't want no problems with D. Don't put your damn hands on him. DK slapped them shits down and ran right past his ass like he was standing still. I can't deal with that kind of stupidity. That's incompetence at the highest level. Anyhow, I digress. Still a hell of a throw. And to even attempt that on 4th and 5 says a lot. Anyway, I go back to this game. Jamal Adams was outstanding. He broke up a 2-point conversion. He was flying around the football field. He sacked Matt Ryan in this game as well. He's going to be a tremendous addition to this team. A lot of you said that the Seahawks were crazy. I told you I thought they won the trade. He's going to be phenomenal for them on this football team. Anyway, hell of a stable of backs in Seattle, man. And I really feel like they've upgraded the weaponry for Russ this year. You know, I'm a big fan of Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf is coming into his own. I think they upgraded the tight end position by going out and getting Greg Olsen. If he's healthy, he gives them a dimension that they've lacked. Even with Jimmy Graham, I don't think Jimmy Graham was ever all that great. Maybe early in his Seattle tenure, but I think you're going to get a lot out of Greg Olsen. There's a lot of good football left in Greg Olsen. And then I think your stable of backs is top notch for what you do. I thought Carson was outstanding in this game. I really like Chris Carson. You know how I feel about you know how I feel about Carlos Hyde. Okay, you added Travis Homer to the mix. It's just a nice, healthy group of running backs for the Seattle Seahawks. I like what you're doing there, and this was a good win on the road, man. This Russell Wilson is stupid, man. He's ridiculous right now. I talked about him being an elite quarterback, and he's proving it all over again. He's starting his MVP campaign with a tremendous Week 1 performance, leading his team to a 38-25 victory on the road. Miami at New England. This, for all of the talk about the Patriots and what they're gonna do and Cam Newton, this, that, and the third, this was the boringest game of the day. And I can't stress to you how many times they tried to force this down my throat on the highlights wherever I went. It didn't matter. It was, want to talk about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers going up against the Saints, and conversely, we want to talk about Cam Newton making his New England debut. This game was trash. I said it. However, I still have to talk about it. It was 21-11, I believe. Let me double check that. 21-11. All right. First of all, 11 points in an NFL game tells you that it was trash. No one should score 11 points in an NFL game. That's an odd number. Should never happen, but it did. I digress. Cam Newton looked like a running back. And I don't like what New England's doing to him. And I'm going to tell you exactly what the Patriots are going to do. And this is that Patriot shit. This is the Patriots way. And Cam doesn't realize he's being manipulated because he just wants back in the league, and he wants to prove to everybody that they were wrong for making him sit on the sideline for so long without a deal. And I don't blame him. But he's being manipulated here. And Bill Belichick is praising him. There's a reason Bill Belichick is praising him, overly praising him. He didn't praise Tom Brady like this. He's doing it because he wants Cam to feel good about what they're asking him to do. He's a damn running back. He's a running back that happens to throw the football in certain situations. That man had like 15 carries in this game. Remember, part of the reason Cam was out was because he was banged up. They were trying to go away from Cam, the runner, in Carolina. And Cam had already said himself he wanted to run more. So I'm not trying to protect a man that doesn't want to protect himself. But what the Patriots are going to do, they signed him to a 1-year deal. They're going to use him up. You know what they're going to do? Just like that old Bill Withers song. They're going to keep on using Cam until they use him up. They're going to use his ass up. They're going to run his ass into the ground for 1 year. He's going to be all battered and bruised at the end of the season. They're going to win 8 games, miss the postseason. And they're going to say, all right, Cam, man, bruh, that was copacetic, bruh. It's been real. We're going to move on to Jarrett Stidham, though, man. And we appreciate everything you did for us. And then Cam going to be out on the streets looking for work again. He's going to find work. But I don't like what they're doing to him. This was trash. This was Cam left, Cam right, Cam for a touchdown, student body left, Cam for a touchdown. We're going to run a counter with the lead blocker coming around, Cam to the right for a touchdown, Cam on 3rd and 5 for a first down, Cam on 4th and 1 for a first down. He was a damn running back that happened to throw it for 4 or 5 yards to Edelman here, 6 yards to N'Keal Harry there. I don't like it. Anyway, at the end of the day, they got the job done. They play good defense. Stephon Gilmore is a beast. They paid him an additional $5 million for good reason. This he's just seeing it better than anybody else at the cornerback position right now. He's running routes for dudes. He picked up a pass interference in this game because he ran the route for the receiver, and the receiver was in the way, and he was trying to go get the ball, and he ran the receiver over, trying to get back to the ball. He's that tuned in. He's that locked in right now at the cornerback position. They played good defense against and let me say this. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I joke, I kid about Fitty Fitty all the time. I love Fitty Fitty. You may think I don't like Fitty Fitty. I enjoy him. He's a national NFL treasure, and when he's gone, I'm going to miss him. I love watching this guy compete. And He took his team down the field when it looked like this game's going to get out of control. What happened was N'Keal Harry got reckless with the rock because they were going to put this game away. It was going to be 21-3. And a great play by Baker, the linebacker, to hit N'Keal Harry as he's trying to extend the ball across the goal line. Ball goes out of bounds through the back of the end zone, and it goes for a touchback. And the Dolphins then proceed to go on about an 8-play drive right down the field. Ryan Fitzpatrick was outstanding. They get in the end zone, and then he runs the 2-point conversion in. High steps it in. All right. And then all of a sudden, it's 14-11. They're right in this game. And he's a competitor, man. I love me some 50-50. Now, you can't win with him. You can't go to the playoffs with him. But he's going to keep you in ball games. He's going to make you competitive. And he loves to compete. Love me some 50-50. But I will say this. The Dolphins are better than they were last year, especially defensively. They're better. They're just not good enough offensively yet. They still got some issues offensively. It was good to see Derek Rivers out there for the Patriots. They've been waiting a long time for him to start to show up as an edge rusher. They may actually have something there in Derek Rivers. We'll see if he can stay healthy this year. They get the win 21-11 with Cam Newton, the running back / quarterback, getting it done for them. And they go to 1-0 on the season. I'm going to tell you right now, the shit that they pulled in this game, it's not going to work every week. The Patriots do a really good job of adapting to their opponent. We'll see if they do that. Because this looked like this is going to be the game plan every week. Run Cam, throw some passes that are safe, and run Cam some more. And run the football. And they ran the football with Sony Michel and all the other stable of backs that they have. They got a new young guy that's like 5'8" that got some run in this game. They can run the football. They ran it in this game. And I don't know if that's going to work necessarily every week, and that's why I think they're going to be an 8-8 team when it's all said and done. But they get the win 21-11. One of the more entertaining second half / fourth quarters of the day was the Chargers at Cincinnati, man. This was a snooze fest in the first half. I'm not going to lie to you. Really for 3 quarters. This was almost unwatchable football. However, let me start by saying the Chargers roadies, they're dope. Okay, did you see those uniforms? The white tops, yellow bottoms with the helmet. Oh my God, those were crispy. God dang it. My goodness, those were nice. And I shudder to think at what the home unis are gonna look like. If the road unis look that clean, and think about it with that backdrop. Orange and black versus that bright white and yellow. Whew, it was gorgeous. And then you had guys like Keenan Allen with all yellow cleats with the white stripes. I think he had some Adidas on with the blue outline. Those unis were tasty. So that's the first thing I needed to talk about. Good start by Cincy, especially on defense. I thought the defense really got after the Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, in this game. And look, the Chargers are by no stretch of the imagination going to be world beaters offensively. They're going to be a boring team to watch offensively all season long. Anytime your quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, a guy who has only thrown for 300 yards in his career once, you're going to have a lot of boring games. The Chargers don't care how they look. They just want to win. I'm going to tell you that if you come with this type of effort moving forward, however, you're going to lose a lot more games than I intended for you to lose this season, because this isn't good enough. Like a wise woman once told me, or a wise man once told me, this ain't enough. Well, the Chargers are going to have to make it enough, okay? Because you're not getting much more out of Tyrod Taylor than what you got in this game. And I thought the running game was actually really good for them. We'll get to that in a second. But I thought Cincinnati started off this game defensively really strong and gave the offense opportunities to score points, and the offense just isn't there yet in Cincinnati. They're getting there slowly, but they're not there yet. They got a rookie quarterback, a lot of moving parts. They'll get there eventually. But the Bengals struggling to protect Burrow versus Chargers' ferocious front was the key to the early sluggish start for them offensively. Joe Burrow was running for his life. He didn't have enough time to survey the field. Everything was short. Joey Bosa was all over his ass. So was Jerry Heavy Artillery. They were peeling on him. He didn't have time against that front early in this football game. But then opportunities presented themselves. And when you get banged up early, when they speed up your clock, you start missing on some plays that you shouldn't miss. He had 2 opportunities to hit wide open receivers right before halftime. And he missed John Ross on a deep ball that you just can't miss. But okay, that was kind of up against the end line. I thought Ross could have gave a better effort, but whatever. Then you have a wide open, I want to say it was A.J. Green. It might have been the tight end. This is a walk-in touchdown. And Burrow overshoots him by about 2 yards. And I'm like, come on, Joseph. Come on. You can't do that. So, growing pains for the young fella. But when the game was on the line, let me say that one more time. When the game was on the line, Joseph stepped up, took his team right down the field. And if AJ Green doesn't push off in the end zone on the game-winning touchdown pass, they win this game more likely than not. But he pushed off, and it was great coverage by Casey Harrod that forced him to have to push off to gain the separation that he needed, or Hayward would have probably been right there in his hip pocket looking to break it up. Perfect throw, perfect ball location by Joe Burrow, and it was a catch, but because of the pass interference, it got negated, and it forced him to settle for a field goal. And I've always said, if your field goal kicker's name is Randy Bullock, you're in trouble. And the Bengals simply didn't listen to me. I told them and warned them about Mike Nugent a long time ago. Instead, they stuck around and kept Mike Nugent around for 3 or 4 extra years than they should have, and he blew a couple of games for him. And I said, this goes back to Randy Bullock's Houston Texans days. I said, if your kicker's name is Randy Bullock, you're in trouble. And Randy banged one from like 53 earlier in the game. So they were smelling themselves, and they say, oh, this one is a gimme. It's from like 30 yards out. Randy's going to bang this one home. And Randy, well, look, when the game gets tight and the game's on the line, Randy clams up. And that ball never had a chance. Randy straight shanked that thing. He pushed it, I should say. He didn't shank it. He pushed it. Never had a shot. And Joe's face said it all. Like, I don't get to go back on the field. I did all of that, and I'm not even going to get a chance. No, Joe, you're not, because your kicker's name is Randy Bullock, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I really am. But I've always said there are other plays in the game that lead up to that one play that everyone likes to point to. Joe had opportunities to make plays in this game, and he didn't. So you got to pay. But anyway, back to my notes. Jesse Bates III. Okay, let me say something right now on the record. He's vastly becoming one of my favorite safeties in the league. My favorite safety is going to play tonight in the doubleheader in Denver, okay? But Jesse Bates III is quickly becoming one of my favorite safeties in this league. He's so underrated. What he's doing in Cincinnati, criminal, okay? He had a hit on the receiver that they call the defenseless receiver. That was a good-ass hit. Shoulder to shoulder. Tried to dislodge the ball. It was a great catch by Mike Williams. But he was right there. Bang, bang. He had a number of pass breakups. He plays the game physically. He's always where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. He's got tremendous hands. Love me some Jesse Bates, man. This dude right here, JB3. If you don't know, now you know. Josh Kelly, rookie running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. Pretty impressive showing in this game. I thought he looked damn good. They've got a nice little 1-2 punch going there with him and what the hell is his name? I never remember his name because I always like to kill him. Austin Eckler. They've got a nice little 1-2 punch there. Josh Kelly's the hammer. Eckler is the kind of the slasher and catch it out of the backfield. And Kelly's your downhill guy, but he's got a little bit of ability too. Because he's got quickness. I told you he's tight in his breakdown, but he's got quickness. He's got quick feet. He's got good feet, and he's got good vision. And he had a nice cutback in his game in a long run. He looks good, man. He looks the part, does Joshua Kelly. So I think they got themselves something there at the running back position too. And Chargers. Oh, let me see what I put in my notes here. Chargers. Oh, stale. It's a stale offense. That's what I put in my notes. Look, what can you do? Tyrod Taylor is your quarterback. It's not getting much better than that. There aren't going to be any 37-point explosions for this offense. They're going to have to win games just like this. What was the score in this game? 16-13. They're going to have to win games 19-16. And their head coach is perfectly fine winning games like that. He has no problems winning games like that. But you're not stopping the Chiefs and holding them to 13 points. Hell, you're not even stopping the Raiders and holding them to 13 points. They're going to have problems in their division if they cannot score more points. And they're going to be better. Tyrod will be better, but not much better. He might graduate to 26 points, but you're not scoring 33 points, which is what you're probably going to need to beat some of the teams in your division. So this is what you are. You better be playing some excellent defense, and you can't afford many more injuries. Drew Tranquill broke his ankle in this game. He's going to be done for the season, it looks like. You're already down Derwin James. You can't afford many more injuries to your defense, which is going to have to hold you up this season. I'm just saying. Some costly penalties by Cincinnati late dooms them. Of course, the missed field goal doesn't help. But Joe Burrow late in that game, man, they needed him. He stepped up. I'm anxious to see what Joe Burrow looks like. And we'll get to see him up close and personal Thursday Night Football next week. Should be a lot of fun. But the Chargers get the win 16-13. It was not pretty, but it was gritty. Most importantly, it was a dub. Arizona at San Francisco. Wow. This is the one I regret. Of all my picks that I made, remember, I was waffling back and forth, and I was like, man, Arizona's going to be good. They could make a statement. Do I want to make that statement week one on the road, though? And I went against my better judgment because I wanted to pick Arizona, and I didn't. But fast start by the 49ers in this game. They were up 10-0, and then it was all derailed by one play. And, sometimes special teams can play a huge part in a game because we always talk about offense, we always talk about defense, but special teams sometimes can play a pivotal role in games. This is a prime example of that. Block punt. You're up 10-0. You got all the momentum. They can't move the football, and they block a punt. And just like that, a 10-0 lead is now 10-7 because they turned that into a touchdown immediately. Not immediately, immediately. And then it's 10-7, and now the entire momentum of the game has switched. You go from dominating and the Cardinals questioning, damn, boy, these boys are tough, to, hey, man, we can beat these boys. And it's not like they were afraid of them because this is family business, and you know how the family do it. They beat these boys last year, or I think they beat them last year. If they didn't, they came damn close to beating them. So they're not afraid of San Francisco, nor should they be, especially with all the injuries that the 49ers have. But that block field goal or block punt got them back in this game, and it changed everything. Great goal line stand by the Cardinals defense. For all of the talk about this 49ers offensive line and how well they run the football, the Cardinals said, we don't give a damn about none of that, man. We're going to go ahead and stop you on this fourth down. And a lot of teams rolled the dice in week one in these fourth and short situations, got stopped, and it proved to be the difference in the game. Let's see how much the 49ers lost this game by. I bet you they lost by 4 or less, 24-20. So you kick that field goal instead of going for it, and maybe later in the game, instead of needing a touchdown, you only need a field goal. But again, that's nor here nor there, because at the end of the day, they decided to go for it. They felt like they could win up front. They didn't. They were denied. It's a big-time stop by the Arizona Cardinals defense down on the goal line. It's a feel-good story out there in San Francisco for a bunch of guys. I start with Jerick McKinnon. Remember, he used to be the secret weapon. Shh, don't tell nobody about Jerick McKinnon. Well, now I'm just happy to see him back on the field, man. Seeing 28 out there running around, making plays, and he looks explosive. He looks like the guy that I saw prior to the injuries. And this is the first time this man has played competitive football in over 2 years due to 2 season career-ending injuries 2 consecutive years in a row. So that was a feel-good story. Jordan Reed was on the sideline, a guy that contemplated retirement this offseason. I'm still nervous for him, but it's good to see him back out on the football field making some plays for this 49ers offense. And then, of course, Trent Williams. Here's a guy that had a cancer scare, was told to get his affairs in order, that he may not be here to see his daughter grow up. And he's back on the football field as well. So a bunch of guys that are feel-good stories for the 49ers. Unfortunately, those guys and their stories weren't good enough to get them a win here. And the reason why is because Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins were out of their minds. Sprinkle in a little bit of their running back. What's his name? I want to say he's out of Temple. I'm going to look him up because he had himself a whale of a ball game too. I shouldn't be forgetting his name because he was too damn good. But Kyler Murray was ridiculous. His name is Chase Edmonds, was outstanding in this game. But this was the Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins show. That's what this was all about. Kyler Murray, 13 rushes, 91 yards, and the game-winning touchdown run. Not to mention, he was slinging it through the air. DeAndre Hopkins had something like 14 catches in this game, maybe 15, 16, some ridiculous number in his NFL or Cardinals debut. Let's see. Let me get the exact number. 14 catches, 151 yards, and a near score. Initially ruled a touchdown. They overturned it. Ultimately got in a play or two later, but he was outstanding in this game as well. They had no answer for DeAndre Hopkins. And how do you lose DeAndre Hopkins? Like, there was one play where he catches it, and there's not a soul around him. Like, the one guy you shouldn't ever lose on the football field is DeAndre Hopkins, and they managed to lose him on that particular play. But Murray was outstanding, especially in the second half. Slow start to the game for him, but he picked it up, and when his team needed him the most, he made plays, and then the defense made enough plays down the stretch to make that lead stick. And the 49ers are extremely banged up. No excuses. They had opportunities in this game. They didn't take advantage of them. Like I said, they're got him. Damn fruit fly been flying around this entire show. And I said if he ever came in my vicinity, I was going to get his ass. I got his ass. Anyway, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins made a bunch of plays, but the 49ers had ample opportunities to win this football game. And they just simply could not convert. They had some big-time penalties that destroyed drives. There are a lot of self-inflicted wounds in this game if you're the 49ers, but tip your cap to the Arizona Cardinals, man. They're going to be a dangerous team this year. And I've said this already. The 49ers are not going to be as good as they were last year because everyone's gunning for them. Last year, they snuck up on teams. And by the time you realize, oh, man, the 49ers are for real, they were like 9-0 at that point. This year, not the case. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows what, and I'm going to force Jimmy Garoppolo to beat me. If he can do it, I tip my cap. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to have Raheem Mostert running buck wild all over me. And he had a nice catch and run for a touchdown early in this game. But I'm not going to allow you to run for 230 yards on the ground and allow Jimmy to just be a passenger in his vehicle. He's going to have to drive this year. And if Jimmy can't drive, you're going to be in trouble. So, big time win by the Arizona Cardinals on the road. That's a statement right there. That's a statement win on the road against the team that won this division a season ago. And they got to feel damn good about that. That's a big time win for the Arizona Cardinals. If you're the 49ers, you're okay. You're fine. Let's see how you respond to being 0-1 on the season. You know what I found odd and really strange? This is the first time the Arizona Cardinals have had a winning record since 2015. Think about that for a minute. They've never been 1-0 in 5 years, and they've never been over 500 for 5 years. Do you know how hard that is to do? Even the worst of the worst teams in this league, teams that don't go to the playoffs, aren't a threat to do anything, even they have been over 500 at some point over the last 5 seasons. Not the Arizona Cardinals. My goodness. When I heard that, I was like, No, you got to repeat that again because I don't believe you. You got to say it one more time to make it true. And they repeated it again, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Seriously, you haven't been over 500 since 2015? Yikes. But that's all dead now. That's over and done. They got it done 24-20. They're going to be a scary team this year. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. This game was somewhat disappointing, honestly speaking. And again, you got to credit the defenses. I thought the defenses were a lot better than the offenses in this game. But Brady was not sharp. I thought Drew Brees in this offense, because going into the season, my mind works like this. If you don't have a lot of turnover, no new coach, not a whole bunch of new players coming in, same foundation and same core of players, you're going to have a head start on everybody else in 2020 because of the shortened offseason, the weird training camp, and then the subsequent no preseason games. And I thought the Saints actually came out flat offensively. And I thought this game was one of the more sloppier officiated games of Sunday of week one. I was really pleased with a lot of the games and the way they were officiated. This was not one of them. I thought there were a lot of ticky-tack calls in this game. I thought there were a lot of flags that bogged down the pace of play and the rhythm to this game. That being said, though, the Buccaneers just made way too many mistakes. The Saints are a good team. Whether they played good on offense or not, their defense stepped up, made some plays. Their special teams made a play in this game. You can't afford to make the kind of mistakes the Buccaneers made in this particular game against that team and expect to win in that environment, even though the crowd wasn't there. So that was disappointing. But at the end of the day, Brady wasn't his sharpest. He'll be better. Trust me, he's not going to be this way all season long. But I also feel like for all of you that think Brady's just going to flip a switch, he's not capable of doing that anymore. Like, he's 43 years old. I don't know if you know this or not, but he's 43. He's not 33. He's 43. He's not 38. He's 43. He's not even 40. He's 43. So I think that he's now at a level in a space in his career where he needs to be able to rely on his teammates a little bit more. In the past, he could carry his teammates. And this is the thing that I talked about with Tampa. They're such a young team. They're going to be prone to mistakes. I was wrong about the defense, at least right out of the gate. And the defense could regress. They could flatline, but they looked great in this game. Devin White was a man possessed in this game. All right, Sean Bunting, I forgot his hyphenated last name, but Bunting was a beast in this game, okay? He was everywhere, all right? So was the puppy. He was everywhere too. And Antoine Winfield Jr. They've got some stuff on that side of the football. JPP had a strong game as well. They were flying around, man. Levante David was good in this game. The defense as a whole was impressive. I was impressed, but the offense wasn't impressive. They'll get better. They'll be better. And you're not playing New Orleans every week, but the mistakes are the things I worry about. Not the Brady mistakes. You're not going to get – Brady's not throwing 16 interceptions this year. He's not going to have 2 interception games often, if at all, the rest of the season. He's going to make some mistakes, though. This isn't the last game where he's going to throw an interception. But the special teams, gaff, like, come on, guys. Seriously? What are you doing? Those things can't happen. Not if you're going to beat good teams in this league. But another guy that I need to apologize, I'm going to issue a double O right now. I probably should stick this double O in my pocket. But he was so impressive that I said I'm going to give it up right now. Their running back, Ronald Jones, he looks the part. He looks the part. Okay. I was wrong about Ronald Jones. They call him Rojo, or I think it's Rojo. He looks good, man. He looks damn good. I apologize. And Fournette looks good. They've got some stuff at the running back position. They don't have to put it on Tom's shoulders, man. They can run it. I'm going to tell you something else that's going to be problematic for Tampa Bay too. That offensive line looks really shoddy, okay? I saw Tristan Wirfs get his ass whooped. I saw, and Buccaneers fans have seen Donovan Smith get his ass whooped before. This is not new news. But when Trey Hendrickson is the one delivering the ass whoopings, you got some problems on your hands, man. It's one thing if that guy delivering the ass whoopings is Cameron Jordan. Okay, hey, look, man, that's an all-pro right there. I'll take those ass whoopings. When it's Trey Hendrickson who's filling in for another guy in Davenport that's giving you the beatings, could be a long season. Could be a really, really long season. We'll see. Tristan Wirfs a rookie. I'm not going to kill him. Donovan Smith may be fine. We'll see. But Brady, you can't let Brady get hit. Some of the struggles in that game was from the pressure that the Saints were applying. Brady, when he gets hit, he turns into a different dude, man. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And Drew Brees was not sharp in this game. I need Drew to be. He was missing throws that I've seen Drew making his sleep, eyes closed. He was missing guys. He got Michael Thomas lit up. I thought Michael Thomas might have had a broken rib at one point. So I need Drew to be better. But all in all, solid game. They get the win. And I expected them to win the game. You know, they're the better team. They're going to win that division, I feel like. And I told you from the jump, the Saints, I may have to walk back the Falcons after seeing them in week 1. I'm not going to overreact, but that was not what I was signing up for with the Falcons. But the Saints, the Falcons, and even the Panthers, they're not going to lay down for these boys. We'll see next week. They got the Panthers next week. Panthers aren't going to lay down for them. They probably going to win the game. Panthers ain't laying down for them, though. And that's the thing the Bucs going to have to realize. Just because you got Tom Brady, you don't just get to show up and get dubs. You still got to go out and take them. And we're going to see if they're capable of doing that or not. Excuse me. But they weren't capable of doing it. Week 1, 34-23. Saints dominate the Buccaneers. And finally, the nightcap. We already broke that one down. I don't really need to go into extensive detail there. I think the Cowboys missed an opportunity to win a game on the road versus the Rams. And that's one of those games that could really come back to haunt you because those are two teams that I could see Dallas winning the division. I still think Dallas is the cream of the crop in the NFC East. But let's say that Dallas isn't as good for some reason. And we know it doesn't take much for the Cowboys to find ways to lose close games that end up being 9-7, 8-8, 10-6, somewhere in there. Let's just say that we look up at the end of the year and Dallas isn't going to win the division. Let's say that Washington has a surprise year or Philadelphia ends up being better than them. And they're going to win the division. And now Dallas is vying with 4 or 5 other teams for that 6th or 7th spot. These are one of those games you look back on because the Rams are not winning their division. So they're going to be battling for a wild card spot. And this is one of those games you look back on and you say, damn, that's a tiebreaker that we should have had. I'm just saying they missed an opportunity there. You can cry and complain about the call at the end of the game. I didn't have a problem with it. If they didn't call pass interference, I wouldn't have had a problem with that either. At the end of the day, there were plays to be made throughout the course of this game that they just failed to make. Their coach put them in a tough spot by going for it on 4th down. They did not convert, and they should have tied the game there. Look, Rams get the win 20-17. We'll see what happens with those two teams moving forward. So that is Slate Skatin. All right, we'll do this every single Monday. But now let's wrap the show up with some garbage time. And so I do have a super chat. So I do want to get that super chat knocked down real quick. So let's do that. My man Vincent Coe. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Vincent Coe writes, sorry, I'm late to the show, Lou, but your thoughts on my Seahawks yesterday. Are they finally going to let Russ cook, or how's the defense looking to you? So, yeah, I already broke that down. I'll just give you a quick synopsis. I just read you my notes from the game real quick. I wrote down in my notes that Russ's 4th and 5 pass to DK Metcalf was an absolute dime. It was 2 nickels. It was 10 pennies. It was a dime. However you want to get to a dime, to 10 cents, that's what it was. It was $1, as a matter of fact. You want to go 4 quarters. You want to go 100 pennies. You want to go 10 dimes. You want to go 20 nickels. Whatever you want to do, that was it. On 4th and 5, you're going to throw it 40 yards down the field. I mean, he couldn't have walked up and handed it to him any better, partner. I mean, that was drugstore cotton soft. It's like it just dropped out of the sky. Russ was 31 or 35, man. Like, we talk about elite quarterbacks, and you already know how I feel about Russ already. I already told you. There are only a handful of guys, and they're not even a handful. It's only like 3 or 4 guys. I've already given you the list. It's Patrick Mahomes 1, Russell Wilson 2, Aaron Rodgers 3, Deshaun Watson 4, of guys capable of carrying their teams. And Russ, to me, is the second best quarterback in the league right now, and he's proven it. I said he's starting an MVP campaign this year. That was an extraordinary start to the season. I love the talent around him. I think that Greg Olsen is an upgrade at the tight end position. I really like that move that was made there. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a great addition to this football team. And I like the running backs. You know, there's a certain type of DNA that is required to be a Seahawks running back. We know that Chris Carson has it in him, but Carlos Hyde is the perfect back in Seattle as well. And then Travis Homer is another guy that I like, and I think he fits the DNA of the Seattle Seahawks. And there's another back too, if I'm not mistaken, another Miami back, not Travis Homer, but another one that I think you drafted that fits Seattle's team. And so be on the lookout for him as well. I don't even think he played in this game. I don't know if he's banged up or he didn't get any run or what, but I think there's a much better supporting cast. And I'm a big Tyler Lockett fan, so I think there's a lot more talent. And I like Jacob Hollister too. I think that's another guy that people sleep on. But anyway, I digress. I said all of that to say this. I wasn't blown away by the defense, and I also said Jamal Adams was a stud in this game. And a lot of people beat Seattle up for the 2 first-round picks. I told you I thought they won the trade because he's going to fit like hand in glove. Had a sack, broke up a 2-point conversion, was flying all around the field. He's going to be great for this defense. I still think you lack pass rush. I think that's a problem. Matt Ryan should have had 800 yards passing in this game to Julio Jones. Julio Jones had a touchdown. Matt Ryan couldn't step into the throw. You got to give your defense a little credit for that. He couldn't step into the throw all the way. He was 2 yards behind the defense, and he had to wait on the pass. Ended up being a 55-yard gain instead of an 85-yard touchdown. But I think you'll get better, as the year progresses defensively. But I always wonder about your pass rush. I think that's a problem for you, but we'll see what happens. But it was a good start to the season, especially on the road against a team that I thought would show better in week 1. You pretty much took it to them in this football game. But garbage time, I just wanted to quickly talk about the Monday night game, preview that, the 2 Monday night games, Steelers at Giants and then Titans at Broncos. I'm not going to give you too much on that. I've already talked about those 2 games, but Steelers get Roethlisberger back. They should look like a vastly different team than the one we had to watch all last season struggle through quarterbacks. They've got enough weaponry out there at the running back position and the receiver position to really do some damage. And they've got a defense that's very underrated, featuring TJ Watt. So I expect them to really take advantage of a Giants team trying to search for and find an identity with a new head coach that had to start practice over, a week and a half ago. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. The Giants are to me. I don't love their roster. I don't love their GM. You know how I feel about Dave Gettleman. I think that the Steelers need to take care of business tonight, and I think they will. Conversely, I think we're going to have a close ball game in the second of those 2 games. Titans at Broncos. They're going to miss Von Miller or the Broncos. They're going to miss, because I don't think he's going to play in this game, Cortland Sutton at the receiver position. That being said, Clowney's impact is going to be key to watch because I think the Broncos' offensive line is the weak link of their offense. If the offensive line can protect Drew Lock, they've got enough weapons, even without Cortland Sutton, to really make any team sweat in this league. With all the moves they made in the offseason, draft-wise, free agency-wise, adding Melvin Gordon III to a running back group that was already really solid with Phillip Lindsay, there's enough talent to go around in Denver. The question is, can they protect Drew Lock? And we're going to find out tonight because the Titans added Clowney. They added a guy that I'm not too high on in Vic Beasley, but maybe, just maybe, he adds something. But even without him, they still got Harold Landry that they're really counting on to really take a quantum leap this year. Not to mention, they got the stud that they drafted, Jonathan Simmons, excuse me, out of Mississippi State that's starting to come on. They've got talent on that defensive front. It should be fun to watch that offense go against that defense. And then conversely, what are the Broncos defensively going to do without Von Miller? And just how good are the Titans on offense anyway? We're going to see, because I'm not buying that Ryan Tannehill all of a sudden is a really good quarterback in this league. So we're going to see. It should be an interesting game. But I still think that the Titans go in there and find a way to win. So we will see. But that's going to do it for me on the 88th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, and next time could be for you later on tonight when we have a doubleheader. So we'll be back like cook crack twice, not once, but twice tonight. It's so nice. I'm going to do it twice tonight. Once after the first game, Steelers, Giants, then back again. That's going to be some late night tea right there. All right. That'll be every bit of 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. If you want some, come get some. I'll be here. If not, you can catch it on the playback. Either way. Or you just come back and check me out. Remember, Wednesday, get your questions ready. Social media maneuvers here on the podcast. Every Wednesday, I open the floor to you guys. Get your questions ready. Hey, we going to chop it up. You ain't got no questions. It's going to be a short show like it was last week. I have no problems cutting the show short. You got nothing to say? I'm not going to force the issue. I'm going to just keep it pushing. All right. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll come back and we'll do it again on Wednesday. You guys have a good one.